Welcome to this week, and holy banana bread, what a week it has been. It is fantastic to be here once again on Sunday as we start one more live stream. This live stream is actually kind of special. It is our 50th live stream. Wow. It's kind of amazing. It makes sense because we started these roughly a year ago and we're already at 50. So, that's cool. So, anyway, looking forward to we'll reflect a little bit as we're going tonight, a little bit on the streams. We'll maybe talk a little bit about some of the past streams because we've been through a journey. We started a Saturday night live stream. Eventually we transitioned over, of course, to our Sunday this week stream. So even the formats changed a little bit. If any of you guys who were here at the beginning, well, holy banana bread, back then we basically just, it was usually me and a guest talking about one topic for an hour and a half or so. And now it's just me, the news, and you guys, and all of that fun. So I like this format a little bit better. I do miss having people, and I may bring some guests on in the future. But for now, I'm still pretty happy, I think, sitting here with me, you, and the news. So anyway, right off the top, we got a couple people in the house. So we have Save Our Planet. Hi, love your channel. Congratulations on surpassing 1,000 subs. I thank you for that. What are your thoughts on Boyle ETF? It's a ProShares Ultra Bloomberg Natural Gas ETF. Thank you for providing so much valuable information. Okay. ProShares have some really good ETFs. The Boyle ETF is a good representation of course, some natural gas. I haven't really looked at Boyle too much, to be very honest. So I definitely do want to look at them more because renewables is the future. And when you're thinking about investing long-term, you have to also keep in mind about future trends. So I think that Boyle is probably going to be a really great ETF down the line. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I think about it right now. But you've put it on my radar, so I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to it, but I do like ProShares. ProShares have a lot of really great products, so I know just right off the bat that this is probably one I'm going to be kind of happy with. And Vic is in the house. Hey, Vic, it is good to see you. I can't believe I was richer than that. Can't believe I was richer than now 5. Okay. I'm richer now than I was when I was 5 as well. Though I think you meant something else, but we'll get back to that when you let me know what you meant. Love the updates on the news. Thank you, Muggsy. It is always fantastic to see you. And we got the bleak in the house. We inside. Awesome. All right. Well, as more people file in, and this is kind of an interesting thing. Just talk a tiny bit about monetization. So when I monetized, it was really interesting. It wasn't monetizing my live streams. I'd find out 2 days later that my live stream wasn't monetized. And so I wasn't making anything from any ads that people were watching. So this one, I did put the ads on it. So I always want to remember, because I remember going to other people's live streams who are monetized. And sometimes you get hit with that ad you couldn't skip at the beginning. And I'm like, okay, what am I missing? So I'm trying to at least cater the first couple of minutes to just sort of, just regular bitter batter that's not going to miss any of the main content. And we have CISO 99 in here. Hello. It's fantastic to see everybody. All right. So our first story of the night has to do with, well, the UK. So we have, and Vic says, you have ads now. Yes, I have those ads now. Basically the monetization, once you hit 1,000 and you can monetize, that's how you make your money. So for the first year, I did everything 100% free. All the bills were on me. So, but now I get little things like, well, I get the ads. So on my videos, now if you go along and you are one of these people who skip the ads, I don't get paid for that. But heck, you know what? If ads really bug you that much, skip them. I'm not going to fault you for that. So that's kind of a neat little thing. I also get, for example, channel members. I don't have anybody yet in the channel members, but that is something that I'm looking to start pushing a little bit soon because I'd like to provide some exclusive content for the channel members once we get some. We also got like the super thanks. So that's like a little thing. I think it's like a, gosh, it's some kind of little icon at the bottom of the screen that you can click on. And it's like, I want to buy Candace a coffee because I love this video. You click on it, you send a buck or two for coffee. Well, nowadays with inflation coffee, you send $10 million so I can get a Starbucks coffee. No kidding. But that's just all of the different features that are going on. Anyway, I'm not here to be talking about monetization all night. We got some news. So the Prime Minister Truss, 45 days in office. She resigned. Interestingly enough, everybody kind of figured that because things were going from bad to worse economically with her in the office. One group of people made this whole running joke about, could she outlast a lettuce? Would a lettuce, a ball of lettuce, or is a head of lettuce? Would a head of lettuce spoil faster than she could stay in office? Well, no, the head of lettuce beat her. And here's the funny thing. Her 45, it was either 44 or 45 days in office means she gets a full pension for life. That pension works out to £115,000, or in Canadian, it works out to $177,000 Canadian that she's getting every year for the rest of her life, just for going in there and basically proving she's bad at her job and kind of getting fired in a way. I mean, she resigned, but same thing. How many places can you go in, completely mess up your job in a month and a half and be set for life? Well, apparently being the Prime Minister of the UK is one of those places. So we definitely don't want anybody, we don't want, it's at least it's the UK. We're not quite as generous in Canada. So that's a good thing. And thank you for that, Siso. And there we go. We already had that. And we've got Dimitri in the house. Hello, Dimitri. It is good to see you. Thumbs up, done. Yeah, absolutely. And there's Jill in the house. Hello, friends and family in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Hit the thumbs up down below because holy banana bread, that really helps this get out so that people who are just sitting around on a Sunday afternoon with nothing to do, I might pop up in their feed and they can come in and have a chat. And she gets 300K. Well, it works out to 177, unless, of course, the statistics I got were wrong, because you never know. Sometimes people mess things up. Oh, yeah, UK sterling dropped. Oh, yes, it has. Good afternoon, Mountaineers. How's all the Mountaineers? Yeah, that's probably going to stick. Hi, Dimitri, says Vic. All right. So that's a little bit about the UK. We're not going to really dwell on the UK today. I've actually got more to say about Netflix than I have to say about the UK. So Netflix has been back in the news this week. So here's the beautiful thing for Netflix. You got to love this if you work at Netflix, or, if you're one of the CEOs, or maybe even if you're invested in Netflix. They've actually gained they gained subscribers. There we go. My tongue worked that time. So they picked up 2.4 million subs last quarter, sorry, not month, but quarter, which is fantastic because they have been on a terrible slide and people have been worried about the future of Netflix. Now, the report, when they released this information, this actually drove their stock up 13%. So, that would be a nice day to have owned some Netflix shares for sure. Here's the interesting things. They've got a lot of stuff coming out too. They haven't even released their cheaper version of Netflix. That's coming out on November 3rd, $5.99 a month, and you'll have to watch ads. And we were talking about that last week. I don't know if these are going to be at the beginning, in the middle. I'm hoping they're at the beginning because that would be another interesting thing. But now, here's the other thing that Netflix is talking about. Everybody who knows Netflix probably knows about all the Netflix sharing that goes around. Like I had a roommate who had Netflix, and she set up a profile for me, and even though we lived at different places, I just every so often gave her half of the cost of Netflix. So there's a lot of sharing like that. So what Netflix is planning to do is they want to fight back. They're starting in 2023, early in the year. They're going to roll out this thing where you pay for one account. So that one account would be the main account. Then that main account can create some sub accounts, which they can then hand out to other people. But each of these sub accounts is going to cost a tiny bit of money. So if you want to, let's say your brother Bob over the other side of the city wants to get into your account, you're going to have to buy a sub account. Now, I think in the same household, as long as everybody's using the same login ID, that will probably be fine. Because I imagine they're going to monetize. They're going to moderate this using, I would assume, IP addresses. But we'll have to see how this all works once it does come out. Waiting for the USD to drop. Yeah, the USD right now, so the United States dollar, it has been on a tear. And that's kind of interesting. Because it's on a tear, anything priced in US dollars, well, they're dropping because the dollar is becoming more valuable. So things like, for example, a lot of the drop in the price of oil has been because the dollar's increased. A lot of the drop in, well, most crypto has been because the US dollar has gotten so strong. So, and the world is interesting thing too, is the rest of the world's currencies are not doing as well. So it'll be very interesting to see. And that's right. Yeah, it's on a tear. It'll be very interesting to see how that's all going to work out. Candace, crypto has hit rock bottom. We are in accumulating false now. Opportunity of a lifetime. If I'm, DCEA every week. Yeah, crypto is in a really, really low place right now. And I always wonder, can it get lower? Nobody knows. Nobody knows if Bitcoin's going to go any lower than where it's at, or Ethereum, or whichever Solana, whichever coin that you're interested in. So DCAing is a perfect way if you're looking for a long-term crypto investment. Absolutely, DCA is the absolute way to go, because you don't know when the bottom is. And if you're DCAing and you do hit the bottom and don't realize it, all of a sudden it's on its way back up. At least you've gotten into the game. At least you've gotten some of the super, super cheap crypto. So yeah, if you're a crypto investor, DCA for the win. That's basically what it boils down to. Hopefully gold will follow suit soon. Gold's an interesting commodity. Any of you who saw my video on Thursday, we were looking at Barrick Gold and Pan American Silver. Now, those are two companies that are not doing super well, but I did briefly pull up the gold statistics, and gold has actually been doing pretty well. They did hit an all-time high this year. They've fallen a little bit since then, but gold is holding on. Silver, not so much, but gold, I think, is a solid investment right now. And I think it's a solid store of value. So that might be something to look into. There is a stock out there that's going to be on tomorrow's video. I'll give you a hint. It starts with the ticker, starts with a T. So if you know a gold-related stock that starts with T, and this is a company that actually does gold, silver, and copper. They're going to be a stock to look out for, I think. So, and if anybody guesses it in the chat, I will tell you if you got it. So a gold-related stock, that's ticker, 3 digits. First digit is a T. We'll see if anybody can get that, and we'll give you guys a chance. No, it's not tech. It's not tech. Gold to 1500. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. The thing is with gold, though, gold does take its time when it's rising, because that's kind of the whole store of value aspect of gold. But I can definitely see more growth in gold for sure, especially as we get into a recession. So many stocks on sale, but money to buy. And that's the thing, right? Well, no money to buy. A lot of people right now, there are a lot of stocks on sale. There's a lot of really great deals out there. But between interest rate hikes and inflation, a lot of people don't have money to buy. So if you are one of these people who is lucky to have some money to buy, that's the thing to be doing for sure. Let's see here. Kirkland or Kinross, no, starts with a T, guys. CFGX, no. All right, we had Tech, and we had TUD, no. Ticker TUD, right? But no, it's not. It's not TUD. I'll give you another hint as well. They are an owner of one of the biggest gold, silver, and copper mines in Mongolia, if that helps. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Are Canadian banks on sale? Good dividends too. Yeah, absolutely. When you think about Canadian banks, and I think I think this was 2 or 3 videos ago, I gave the example of Bank of Nova Scotia, who normally has a yield, in the, about mid fours, so 4.5-ish, somewheres in that vicinity. But right now, their yield is about 6 because of that depression in the price. And it's not just the banks. Anything that's blue chip that's been depressed, 20, 30% by the bear market, you're getting a higher yield. You're getting a lot more dividend for your buck. So if you're a dividend investor and you love the blue chip dividends, then this is absolutely, it's like Christmas for you, to be honest. TD is a nice low. Yeah. Yeah. All the banks are doing really, really well that way. Rio Tinto, no. TSC, no. It is not TSC. Let's see, BNS and CM dropping. Yeah, right now, and this is interesting too. I mean, everybody's predicting the worst of what this economic storm that we're in is going to be coming, not this year, but next year. 2023 is looking to be a not fun year. Just to be, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's looking to be an absolutely horrible year economically. So, if there's a bottom that's coming in, I imagine it will be in 2023. If we have further to drop, maybe we'll experience another 10% drop or a 20% drop in 2023. But I'm really thinking it won't be until 2024 that we start to see a real recovery. We'll see a couple of these sort of like little rallies along the way, or some people will call them a dead cat bounce. So we're going to, Joe got it. Turquoise Hill. That is exactly the company I am talking about. Good job, Joe. And Joe is an American, so he just put you Canadian folks to shame, just putting that out there. But that is absolutely awesome. Wow, great job, Joe. Great job. That's fantastic. Okay. Anyone using Mogo Trade, free, no commission, alternative to Wealthsimple? I haven't, and Vic, I've not looked into Mogo Trade, but for me, it's one of these things that's a little bit too new. And here's a thing right now. Wealthsimple is now able to create an account with the Bank of Canada. So what that means is that Wealthsimple is no longer going to have to use a third party for transferring their money. That could, and I don't know how this is going to work out because this news just broke. That could make it so that, how you have the 3 business day wait when you want to pull money out of Wealthsimple and things like that? That may fix that. That may actually lower that if they're working directly through the Bank of Canada. So that is just absolutely fantastic. And they're the only broker of that nature, other than using a bank broker, that has access. So even places like Quest Trade don't, and Mogo Trade wouldn't. So just one more thing for Wealthsimple. But I know Vic loves Mogo Trade. So I will take a look at Mogo Trade. I just haven't had a chance to yet. And to be honest, when it first came out, the reason I didn't look at it is because I still had my expired Nova Scotia ID. So I've now got valid ID for Ontario. So, I could definitely take a look and see what's going on with that. All right. And go buy iBonds. All right, so that was Netflix. Holy banana bread. We got a lot of news and we're slowly getting through it, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm not in any rush, so we'll keep going. A little bit about oil. So I think before I've talked a little bit about the idea that the G7 has come up with is to simply put a cap on Russian oil. So how they plan to do it is they're going to do it through the insurance companies. So once they determine what that price is, and I haven't heard yet exactly what the price is, but let's just say it was $90 a barrel. If it were $90 a barrel, if Russia tries to sell it above $90 a barrel, the insurance companies will not provide any insurance for those freighters. So that's how they plan to stop it. Here's the problem with this idea, though. All Russia needs to do is just ship it out themselves. They can ship it out themselves and they can charge whatever prices they want. So this could basically just create a massive detour in the way Russian oil moves. So it may not be the best solution yet out there. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this all works out. But that's that's our Russia. That's our Russian oil update for this time around. Little interesting thing. We talked slightly about the recession. So they did a survey of American CEOs, and right now we're up to 91% of American CEOs believe that a recession will begin, whether called or not, this year in the U.S. So that's up pretty big. And there's also a lot of companies that are now at the point saying, yeah, this is going to last for about a year. So we are going to start downsizing. We are going to look at shrinking our workforces. So that's not a good sign. And what's really a bad sign, and I need to make a video about this, but treasury bonds in the US. So right now we're at a point where the 3-month, the 2-year, and the 10-year are all inverted. Anytime that this has happened in the past is pretty much almost sealed the deal for a recession. So what that basically means is that investors are moving their money out of the short-term bonds and moving them into long-term bonds because they have a lack of faith in the short term. And then as a result, the interest rates on the short term, of course, fall. And that's where we get this whole inversion in the chart. So I should do a video on this because I think that would be really, really interesting. So yeah, look out for that. That will be coming. I don't know when, but I'm going to do a treasury bond video because I think a lot of people don't understand it fully. But the big takeaway from the inversion that we're seeing in the treasury bonds right now is that they are indicating that a recession is pretty much imminent. And I think everybody in this community, for the last year, we've all seen it coming. Even when people were saying, no, it's not going to happen. No, we'll have a soft landing. No, everything will be fine. But you guys have all been really smart. And you guys all kind of get the idea that this is going to happen. So we know that is absolutely going to happen. All right. So Vic mentioned I'm using both WTS, so Wealthsimple and Mogu Trade. Awesome. And then that would be nice. TRQ is at 38.93. Yes. Now, I'll tell you right now, if you want to be, I'm not going to give you any hints at all. You'll have to watch the video for why I was excited about TRQ. How you can talk for an hour is amazing. Does your audience know how hard it is to live stream for that long? It really is. And it's funny. I was watching somebody who does a similar thing, and they have this music track that they sort of play anytime they want to take a drink. Whereas me, I sort of I'll slowly bring the drink up and I'll say, oh, I'm going to take a drink. And I'll do that. Now, what theirs does is they have this little track that comes in and says something like, if you're enjoying the stream, please subscribe. Just something silly like that with a little bit of music on it. So I really need to do that for overlays. Jill says the more important question is how bad will the recession be? And she's thinking it won't be a 2008 level of recession. I would agree. I don't think we're going to get a 2008 level of recession. I would say it's not going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit worse than the optimists would like to claim, but it's definitely not going to be as bad as 2008. But keep in mind, we could all be absolutely wrong. That's the beautiful thing about economics. So it'll be very interesting to see. It really comes down to, I think, how we respond to it. If the government starts doing things like driving up inflation by printing a lot of extra support, that could make it worse. So it'll be really interesting just to see exactly the way the world responds to it. And if we end up in a situation where we get like a world recession, that could also be really bad. But for now, we'll have to sort of see exactly how this is going to go. Vic says Canadian news says high grocery prices, but major grocers at record prices. Is that true? Are we being gouged? Okay, well, yes, the prices are really, really high. And well, here's an interesting thing. So Loblaws came out and said that they're going to freeze for the rest of the year all of their no-name products. This sounds like a great thing. But here's the funny thing. Metro then came out and said, well, we're doing that too, but we do that every year. We all do that every year already. So it almost sounds like Loblaws is just sort of announcing what they normally do, but making it look like they're making a grand gesture. But yeah, right now, supply chains is part of the issue, but supply chain is getting under control. We're starting to reel that back in a little bit, at least when it comes to our ports. It's predicted that by March, all of the congestion in our ports should be 100% gone. So yes, we're getting supply chains for a whole bunch of different reasons. Record profits, yeah, there's some record profits there. But we'll have to see the result. The House of Commons has put a commission together to look at the big three. So your Metro, your Loblaws, and your Sobeys. So they're going to look at them and sort of find out whether they're gouging or whether, or just what exactly is going on there. And, they will argue, like they did argue, and I think I mentioned this last week, that part of the reason for the record profits is because everybody who's no longer, working at home or is going back to the office have been buying a lot of cosmetics and things like that, which are higher end products, which have much higher markups. Is that true? Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. That's what the commission will do. So hopefully we'll get something there. Record depart. All depends on how Europe does this winter. Yeah, I'm worried about Europe. It's going to be rough over there with the energy, because right now we're seeing high energy prices, but it's nothing compared to what they're seeing. Many people become wealthier after a recession. If you have money in a recession to invest, you can make a killing. So yeah, you can become very wealthy. Recessions have made millionaires in the past. So I'll put that out there. I don't think any of us are going to be made into millionaires unless we get some really deep pockets. But it could happen. It could happen. Do you draw more customers too? All right. Fertilizer costs and grains, more demand, less supply. Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, the video coming out tomorrow, we actually touch on fertilizer a little bit. So it's kind of funny. It's like I kind of wish yesterday's video came out tomorrow's video came out yesterday, because there's so many things that are tying into this. If the Fed hikes 50 points in December, then we all good. Yes. Well, the Fed is probably going to hike 75 points on Wednesday. So keep that in mind. Let's see. The government controlling food prices is a recipe for absolute disaster. I would agree with that. I don't think the government needs to be controlling food prices. The Bank of Canada almost guaranteed to raise 75 points. Absolutely. And the funny thing is that ties into the next story, which was, of course, our inflation report that came out this week. So our overall inflation, basically, it actually shrank from 7% to 6.9%. That's okay. That's fantastic. Until you realize, because of the drop in gas that we've had recently, that's why the price has gone down. So when you look at core inflation, which removes gas from gas and food from that equation, inflation actually rose from 5.3 to 5.4. So we're not out of the water yet. And that, honestly, that's guaranteed, that 75 basis points that Vic was mentioning when we come together on the 26th. Interesting enough, PEI and Manitoba are the two provinces with the worst inflation. So in PEI, their inflation rate is 8.4%. Manitoba, it's 8.1%. Now, I don't want to only do the worst. If we look at our best case scenario, Newfoundland had the best inflation at 6.1%, and then came Alberta with 6.2%. Everybody else in the middle. So that's kind of a neat little thing. Interesting thing out of China. So China normally releases their economical I guess that's how you say it. Economical reports. That just, it sounds wrong, but I think that's how you say it. So China normally does release that. And they have now come out and said that they are indefinitely postponing the releasing of their information. So I'm kind of worried about what kind of information we have in China. One of the reasons I'm worried is that we're in a situation where they still do COVID lockdowns over there. So they've probably, their economy is probably hurting much worse than I think they want the rest of the world to see. When you're thinking about a world recession, that doesn't bode well for us not having a world recession for sure. All right, let's see what else we got in here. And we got Mr. Red Taco. I've been buying deodorant by the box now. That's why they making the money. Yeah, absolutely. We all know Mr. Red Taco probably smells fresher than any of the rest of us because he has so much deodorant. And good afternoon, everyone. Hockey Nut holding off until the 27th to buy the dip. You know what? Not a bad idea for Canadian stocks. Now, also keep in mind, the big dip is probably going to happen early November when the Fed finally gets together. I think it's November 2nd that they meet, and that's probably going to be 75 basis points as well. That tends to crash the S&P a little bit. Well, it's hard to say. Sometimes because where the S&P price is in 75 basis points and they come out with 75 basis points, it can sometimes actually pump the market a little bit, or it just has a nice big drop and then it pumps. So it's one of those interesting things. I'll certainly be playing that when it happens. GIC at 5%. Yeah, some of those GICs are coming up. I know. I think over at EQ Bank, which is where I keep loose money. Their just regular savings account was like 2%, and I believe it just went up to 2.5 or something crazy like that. So you're going to see interest rates going up right across the board, especially things like GICs. A good place to store money if you've got extra money and you don't want to trust the market. Coworkers got a mortgage locked in at 1.63 in 2021. Hopefully they got it locked in for a good amount of time, because that's not bad. But here's the problem is, if you've got your mortgage locked in at 1.63 for 5 years, at the end of that 5 years, you are going to be paying a lot more. So it might even be a situation where it might be feasible to start putting a little extra on that and try to knock that down a little bit. See, PEI's beaches are also decrepitating. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about PEI is they're basically like a giant sandbar. If you think about it, that's kind of the actual, I guess we call it the geology of that location. So all of their sandbanks, they're losing, like, I can't remember the exact amount, whether it's a centimeter or an inch, but they're losing a little bit of their shoreline every year. It's just getting washed out by erosion. That's why they have the sand dunes. Like, their sand dunes are designed to try to protect and slow that process down. So what ends up happening is when we had when we had Fiona go through there, a lot of those sand dunes became sand ruins. So they're trying to repair that, because otherwise you're going to lose a bit more land because of that. So PEI is shrinking. Now, mind you, it's not going to be a situation where, 10 years from now, there's going to be no more PEI. There's going to be PEI here for a long time. It takes a long time for this to happen, but it's still one of those things that does happen. And let's see, here we got Bonnie's in the house. Hi there, Candace and chat. Keto Line is here. EQ holds my emergency in US funds, 2.5%. Yeah. And 2%. Yeah, exactly. So even they've been coming up, and it's as these rate hikes continue to hike, you're going to see a lot of these little interest rates go up. And I was actually laughing because, over there at EQ, 2.5% is fantastic. Simply sent me this email the other day, and they're like, we're proud to announce that we are going to raise our interest rates on our savings account to 0.05. I was like, what? So it was just hilarious that they're, or 0.5. I think it's 0.5%. Anyway, it's just one of these crazy things where the big banks really give you next to nothing. And a lot of these smaller providers are giving you absolutely everything. So That's kind of an interesting thing. 25K at 4.7% equal $1,175. Not too shabby for your GIC. Absolutely. And that's not a bad thing. All right. Where were we at? All right. So I already mentioned Wealthsimple. I wanted to mention something about healthcare. So most provinces will have a wait list. It's hard to get a family doctor, but Nova Scotia released some information this week, and here's what Nova Scotia said. They said on their family doctor wait list, they have 116,000 people. Okay. So in Ontario, we're thinking, oh, 116,000, that's not too bad. Well, if you consider the population of Nova Scotia is just shy of 1 million people, that means in Nova Scotia, 13.79% of their population does not have a family doctor. That's massive. That's insane. And I don't have the data for like Ontario, but I'll tell you, I mean, I'm on a wait list for a family doctor. Who knows when I'll get one? It might happen maybe in the next year or 2 or 3. This is one of these wait lists that, the only time it shrinks is as people are dying on it, waiting for a doctor. So, what can you do? We got Jordan in the house. Hello. And Vic says, Achieva at 2.85 daily savings rate plus 100% funds guaranteed by credit union rules in Manitoba. Okay. I assume is Achieva just a credit union for Manitoba? Because I'm not familiar with them. But I've never lived in Manitoba, so. And Crypto Larvae is here. Hello, what's your views on the ETH ETF and the potential behind the yield it represents? So, all right. So Purpose has these 2 different ETFs. They got ETH and they got they've also got, what is it, BTC or BTCH. I can't remember the exact numbers or letters. But they have basically a high yield Ethereum and a high yield Bitcoin. And they provide really, really, really good yields. Now, here's the thing, though. Those yields are not guaranteed. So sometimes they will come in a little bit cheap, especially as crypto has been crashing. And there we are, BTCY. Thank you, Hockey Nut. I was like, what was I thinking? They do sometimes come in a little bit lower. Now, here's the beautiful thing about these ETFs. When we get to the other side and things start rebounding, well, these ETFs are going to fly up, both growth-wise and your dividend payments will be a lot more stable. So they are good. And here's the thing. I know some people might complain, well, oh my God, BTCY didn't pay me exactly what I was thinking. I didn't get my 15% yield. I got like a 12% or something. Well, still, it doesn't matter. It's still good. And with ETH, I think ETH normally has about a 26% yield or 24, 26 in that area. So you may not get that because, maybe they have to cut it back a little bit, but you're still getting better than you're going to get on pretty much almost anything else that you have your money on. Now, the reason that they can do this, and just to put that out there, is that they do use covered calls on these. So they're using covered call options to make money on this. So you can, and that's a beautiful thing, whether Bitcoin's going up or down or whether Ethereum's going up or down, you can use those call options to collect premiums, or maybe you're shorting and longing through some options. There's a lot that you can do to make a lot of money, and that's how they're paying out these crazy amounts. So they're not just, it's not that they're just pulling the money out of thin air. They're using options. They're using options trading to get that money for. Yes. So yes, back to Crypto Larvae's question. I think it is. I think it has a lot of great potential. I would still be cautious with it because anything that does pay a high yield, you want to be cautious just nonetheless. But I do have BTCY. I do have that in one of my accounts. I think it's my TFSA that I have some of that in. And Jordan says, I was dropped and got a doctor within a month. Sarnia has many accepting GPs. And I think it's very much where you live, Jordan. I know when I was in Toronto, I had a GP. I got a GP like quite literally. It took me not even a week. But here in Ottawa, no GP and BTCY, ETH. See, look, you guys are just coming through. That's awesome. You guys are better than Google. Have you taken a look at Polkadot? I haven't looked at Polkadot yet, but I know that they made some changes. Now, I love the whole idea of Polkadot. I love what Polkadot does. I used to have a lot of Polkadot because it was my favorite outside of Bitcoin. Was my favorite coin, and a lot of it has to do just with the way it's able to bridge between different coins. To me, I see that as a fundamentally useful skill within crypto. So I definitely still have a soft spot for Polkadot, and I think I always will. When I start eventually getting back into crypto, because right now I don't hold any crypto other than my Shake stuff, only because I've most of it I'm using right now for day trading, so that's another story all in itself. But yeah, Polkadot was my favorite for the longest time. I used to love it. Just sit in there, stake, making some profit off of that. It's served me well in its time. All right, let's see here. We need Canada savings bonds back at 9.5. Even Americans get I bonds at 9.62. Well, give it time. Give it time. We'll see if we can get back there. 9.5 is a good amount because a lot of people who are trading won't get that kind of a return unless you look at it long term. Because here's the thing. Once we recover, once we get to a point where the markets start improving, all these growth stocks, especially what the stocks I like to call total return stocks. So stocks that have a moderate dividend, but also have a lot of return growth. For example, CNR is for me my favorite total return stock. You've only got about a 2.5% dividend, but it's a stock that traditionally tends to grow about 20% a year. So you end up getting, anywhere from 20 to 25% on your return on investment on CNR. And even now in the recession, there's many days I look at the market and everything is red but my CNR. They're the only green stock that I have at times. So that's just one of those things. When it comes to the other side, you can make a lot more than what you could get with a 9.5% savings bond. But for people who don't understand trading, and for people who just or don't want to take the time and effort or the risk, because heck, maybe we never recover. That's always a possibility. Highly, highly, highly unlikely, but you never know. Something like a savings bond is nice because it's guaranteed. If you buy it at 9.5, you're getting 9.5. So it's kind of a nice little thing. And I think Jordan said for sure, probably to that. Thanks so much for your thoughts. With the deflationary aspect behind Ethereum's 2.0 merge, I will definitely watch this and stack the TFSA with ETH ETF after the November Fed update. There we go. And let's see, Achievia has online banking available to all Canadians. Absolutely. And that's kind of the way it's been going with a lot of these, because now you can do it online with everybody, which is fantastic. Hockey Nut says, no crypto here, just the two ETFs, still learning about stable coins, etc. Yeah, and here's the big thing about crypto. I mean, Bitcoin, for example, I don't see it actually exploding until there's some kind of regulation in the US, because that's what's holding back the really big money. Because a lot of the big money that had been into, basically the big retail money that was into Bitcoin and crypto in general, well, that money's all dried up. It's all gone away. People don't have all of that free money to throw in and pump up these coins anymore. So what we need is, if we have regulation, and I don't think we need a lot of regulation, we just need some very basic regulation. Once the SEC has that in place in the States, then you'll be able to get a spot Bitcoin ETF. Then you'll be able to look at pension funds, unions, things like that, being able to put all of the, dump, even if they all dumped about a 3% allocation into Bitcoin at that point, holy banana bread, that would be an insane amount of pumping up of the price. And that's the thing. If you're at a situation where you start to hear that it's being worked on and that it is going to happen, you want to be DCAing your butt off into crypto at that point, particularly Bitcoin first, because it will normally, what will probably happen is when we do get that regulation, you'll see Bitcoin pump first, and then you'll see some of that flow into the other crypto coins at that point, and you'll see big pumpage in there. Now, there is money right now still to be made in crypto. If you look at the frigging Oracle, he's just really, really good at finding these new coins, and he's not. And here's the funny thing: he's kind of doing what I do with day trading. He's getting in there and he's watching it pump, and he's jumping out, and then it's coming down. So it's kind of the same idea. So that's kind of a neat little thing here. Okay. So let me see. Where were we? We were right here. And okay, now we're here. What is your take on neobank? Perfect. I can give you my opinion on neobank, my non-sponsored opinion on neobank. To me, they're pretty much the same as like EQ Bank. Really, it just comes down to I don't think they're anywhere any more special. And I know that they have like a card, and I think it's a credit card type thing, even though it's not really a credit card. I think there's so many different options out there. I don't see that they've differentiated themselves from pretty much anybody else. So I don't have anything really bad to say about Neo, and I don't have anything really good to say about Neo, to be honest. I like EQ Bank, but I do like the fact that Neo has that card. That's the one difference. I think that gives them a slight advantage, probably. I don't know currently what their interest rates are on their savings, but keep in mind, there's many ways to work around it. So, for example, if I wanted to use a card in addition to EQ Bank, I could just move money over to Wealthsimple and use their card, or or I could just put it over onto, well, I was going to say ShakePay, but the problem with ShakePay is until they have a physical card, you're limited to being able to only really use it on what you can use Apple Pay on. So, that limitation I can't get past yet on ShakePay or card. Yeah, exactly. And let's see here, BlackRock investing heavily. What I heard. Yeah, no, BlackRock has always been kind of investing. There's a lot of people who are investing heavy. Even MicroStrategy. Some people you either hate or either hate or love them, but they're doubling down always on Bitcoin. And here's the reality: if they survive past the bottom, when Bitcoin rebounds, they're all gonna, people like Michael Saylor will be able to say, "I told you so." It's gonna happen. And it's just they just have to survive, and they do have very, very deep pockets. Like I think Bitcoin can fall all the way down to, I think it's even under 13,000. I thought I heard something like 8,000 and some odd before MicroStrategy could get into any kind of serious trouble. So, they're going to be around for a while. And that's the kind of neat thing about Bitcoin. I think I think there's a lot of potential there, but once again, you got to sort of time it my philosophy right now is that any money I had sitting in Bitcoin is just sitting there, and it's going to be there for a while before I get those returns on it. That's one of the reasons that I had a full Bitcoin and sold the whole thing, and that money's funding some pretty big trading that's going on, that's making money. So that's what you want to be doing. You want to utilize your money to the best of your ability. Now, I would never tell any of you guys to just go and sell all your crypto and start day trading, because most people will lose at that. So it's one of those things that you want to be very educated. You want to make sure that that's something that you can do before you jump into something like that. Let's see, with all the metaverse hype happening, yes, it's died slightly with this recession-like activity. Are there any specific metaverse stocks that you are aware of that a person should keep on there? So yeah, well, metaverse, on their watch list. Here's the thing about the metaverse stocks. Metaverse is basically, when you're looking at it stock-wise, you got a couple of things. First of all, you've got some ETFs. And when you look at those ETFs, that's a perfect way to see which stocks are really metaverse stocks. So if you look at Meta, for example, so Meta, formerly Facebook, this is a stock that right now is at a bargain price. Their price actually right now is 60% less than what they were at when they were called Facebook. So you got things like that. Right now, there's still a lot of stuff to work out with the metaverse. Having a recession right now is not helping the metaverse. And I think it's got a lot of growing pains to come with it. So what I would almost say is if you're looking to invest in metaverse stocks, well, invest in some of the blue chip stocks that are going to be front and center with the metaverse. Stocks like Microsoft. Um, even Meta. I'm not a big fan of Meta, but they're going to be around. They're going to survive. They're going to rebound. And if they ever get back to where they were before, well, you'd be very happy if you bought them at this level. A lot of your chip manufacturers, so things like Taiwan Semiconductors, uh, even a company, and I hate to say this, I'm not a big fan of Snapchat, but right now Snapchat, they had a huge drop this week, so they're at a super bargain price. They're not a bad stock to just buy a couple of shares and just sit on it and see what happens, because they do have a lot of that interface when it comes to avatar creation. So there's a lot in the metaverse. I think coin-wise, that's where I'd be a little bit more hesitant. So something like, for example, Sandbox, that is probably, with all of the brand names that are behind the Sandbox, that's probably a safe bet. But I think what you're going to see is, instead of 1,000 different coins, every game having its own coin, I think they got to sort of look at creating coins that are sort of like a standard coin to go across most of the metaverse, because otherwise it's not going to work. It's going to get way too confusing for regular people to get pulled into the metaverse. So that's just something I think will happen. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's the one area where I'd be a little bit wary of, other than the fact that you can make some huge money when these coins are pumping. And that's kind of a friggin' Oracle thing. So one of those things I usually say, that's his forte. My forte is the stock side, with a slight dabbling of crypto over top. So, all right, and let's see here. Anyone besides me lost money on SPACs? Good question. I got Mesh. Yeah, Mesh is one of those ETFs for the metaverse, and they'll have everything from Microsoft and Google and even Amazon, and you'll have a lot of different stocks in there as well. And MTAV is another. So Horizon has a nice ETF MTAV. There's also trying to think. I think in Canada there's on the TSX, I think there's one called Meta as well up here. That is not Facebook, but it's actually, unless they changed their name, because that was early last year that I saw that, or sorry, early this year. So that's just one of those interesting things. I get some more news here as well. So while we're waiting for some more questions. So home prices continue to drop, and September was no exception to that. We had a drop of 3.9%. So that was the average across the country. And that statistic came from the Canadian Real Estate Association. So, it's nice to see home prices dropping, and most of that's because of the rate hikes, because people can't afford these mortgages. They can't afford some of the initial payments, that they have to pay now just to get into a mortgage. And plus, they can't start their mortgage at a nice low rate with the rates sort of climbing very fast. So it's one of those situations I think you're going to continue to see the demand for houses decrease, and you're going to see rents increase as a result. All right, one last thing I have, a little thing about jobs. And there was a survey that was done by Satov Consultants. So they basically wanted to find out how Canadians feel about their jobs, as in, how secure do they feel with a recession on the horizon? And interestingly enough, 48% of the workers who were surveyed said they're not concerned at all. Okay, so that's about half of Canadians. Now, in addition to that, another 30% said they were somewhat unconcerned. So it means, so I guess that's almost the same. So about 70% of Canadians are probably not worried at all about their jobs. Now, 17% said they were somewhat concerned, and about 5% were saying that they were very concerned about their job. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when it comes to this recession. I think overall, we're all in good shape. I don't think, you're going to see as many jobs disappear as what you would in a normal recession, but that's only because we've got a lot of those vacancies from the retiring baby boomers that is helping lessen that blow. And that also could be, and we talked earlier about how severe the recession is, that could also help lessen that a little bit as well. So, oh, yeah, that's good. So right now, this is, once again, I mentioned this at the top of the show. This is our 50th live stream. So that's kind of cool. So so what was I going to say? I almost said a bad word and I don't know why. 50th, it's our 50th show. So that to me is fantastic. It's kind of really surreal. Now, I remember my very first show, I was by myself and, I think I talked for a good hour and a bit. And I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but that was cool. So, and then we started bringing in the guests. So I had different guests, different week. We had everybody from the friggin' Oracle, who used to be one of our favorite guests because everybody loved the interaction between me and the friggin' Oracle. It's like we were like a cop show. And of course, we had Hi Rai on the show, had his mom on the show. Both the dancers have been on the show. Nate Palmatier has been on the show. And this was all back when it was Saturday Night Live stream. And we've also had a few others. Gary, another channel favorite, has been on the show. So that's all been very, very cool. And then we switched to this format. We switched to this week, which is kind of a little bit of a commentary because it gave me a little bit of a chance to just talk about stuff like, the news, and just talk with you guys with whatever is coming up and going on. So that's always fantastic. And yeah, so Jill loves the show. That's always great. We had, of course, eventually we went through these, and eventually, actually, the funny thing, I just want to bring this up too, because this is one of my highlights of these shows was Christmas Day. We did a live stream on Christmas Day, and it was one of these shows, and I've mentioned this before, that just people kept on watching it into the spring, into the summer, all because I did a little piece on EIT and I put it in the title as well. And it kept bringing people in because I was just like, why are people watching a Christmas show in May? And it was all because of EIT, which, another stock that I think a lot of people on this channel really, really love. And that's fantastic because I do love EIT. They are fantastic. So yeah, from there, it's just been kind of fun. And now we get a good amount of people in here every week. And we're having a good time. We're having some good chats. I love it. Don't worry, guys. I'm not changing anything. I just want to, because it almost feels like I was going up to say, but no, there's no buts at all. I just want to say it's been, the first 50 shows have been fantastic. We got, hopefully we'll do another 50. And then we'll have a big celebration at 100. I'm not going to promise anything because last time I promised something, I ended up having to do a drunk stream. And yeah, that was fun. Actually, that was really, really fun. That was when I got to 1,000 subs. So, we'll have to see what we're going to do. We'll do something special. We're going to do a whole bunch of different special things coming up. 2,000 subs is the next big special. And we'll do something also at our 100th live stream when that comes up. So that's basically, the 100th live stream will be about a year. I think the 2,000 subs should probably be about maybe 6 months, maybe a little less. It really depends. I mean, if I have one of these videos that just absolutely takes off, then it'll be fantastic. Well, let me see here. First time stumbling onto one of your live streams. We'll be throwing the notifications on for the next time. Absolutely. And check out the videos too, Crypto. Here's one of the other things too, because you're brand new here, Crypto. I'll let you know. Usually if somebody asks me to do something, I do it. You'd be surprised how many times I have made a video based solely on a request from one of you guys, because, I try to give you guys what you want, because to me, that makes the stream a little bit more valuable. Well, not even the stream, but the actual channel, which is kind of fantastic. And I was wondering, because I was like, I've never seen your name before, Crypto Larvae, so that's awesome. We're coming up towards the end, guys, because we normally do these for about an hour. So if you've got any questions that you want to throw at me, throw them at me right now, because I'll grab a couple if if there are any. Other than that, while I'm waiting to see if that comes in, what's the weather like in your guys' parts of the country? I'll tell you right now, It's friggin' summer here today in Ottawa, 21 degrees Celsius. So pretty. I know I have a few Americans who watch the show, so I always like to sort of differentiate. If I said 28 to 21 degrees and they're thinking Fahrenheit, they're shivering. So yeah, it's been kind of fantastic. It's been a great run. Love the fact that you guys are all here. We're going to keep bringing this. We're going to keep bringing the content. I am looking to bring on a couple of guests in the future, but we'll do it when it makes right, because I kind of like this time. I kind of like keeping you guys all to myself, to be honest, because you guys are all fantastic. Anyway, all right, we don't have any more questions, so we're going to sign off here. Or hold on. We got two quick ones here. Summer here until Tuesday. Back to mid-teens. Absolutely. Same here. Except for here, it's Wednesday. Then I got to go out for driving lessons again on Thursday, and it's going to be cold. And maybe showers. It has actually been showery every day I've been out driving, which is funny. Thanks for the stream. Have a good week. Stay passive. Absolutely. So you guys all have a fantastic time. Have a fantastic night. Have maybe next week's the night before Halloween. So we'll have to have a Halloween theme show next week. So that'll be fantastic. Anyway, everybody take care. We will talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you. Well, you can see me tomorrow in a brand new video. Take care, everybody. Bye.